Good evening, everyone. If we can find our seats, we're going to go ahead and get started with our executive forum. Welcome to the 2024 Student Government Association Executive Candidate Forum. Please silence your cell phones and any other noise-making devices. My name is Joel Rivero, and I am the Texas Tech Student Body President for the academic year 2023-2024. Joining me on the panel are Ms. Mariana Suriel, the Daily Torador Editor-in-Chief, Ms. Jordan Sanchez, Chairwoman of the SGA Election Commission, and Representative Carl Tepper of Texas's 84th House District. Our SGA executive team alongside me will pose questions to the candidates to their respective candidates. So our Graduate Vice President, Hunter Robinson, our Internal Vice President and President of the Student Senate, Emily Sanderson, and External Vice President, Kendall Tully. Before we begin, let me establish some rules. We expect high standards of decorum, and candidates should treat each other with respect and engage in civil disagreement. Applause is allowed only during introductions and debate's conclusion. Any disruptions will result in a verbal warning and potential removal. The debate order is as follows: Graduate Vice President, Internal Vice President, External Vice President candidates, and Student Body President candidates. Each candidate will respond to 4 questions, 1 from each moderator, with a 2-minute time limit per question. Rebuttals are allowed only if a candidate mentions another by name, which would last only 30 seconds. Now let's meet the candidates. Please stand as I call your name. So Graduate Vice President Kara Ashworth will just peek real quick. And then Internal Vice President Diego Alessio. External Vice President candidates, Mr. Carter Arrett and Mr. Dylan Moreno. Student Body President candidates, Mr. Toby Zustak and Ms. Abigail Vega. Thank you for joining us. Let's begin. Will the Graduate Vice President candidate please join me on stage?
Testing. Over half of our graduate student population consists of international students. How do you plan on representing the diverse graduate student body here at Texas Tech?
Okay, before I get to the questions, do I need to start with an opening statement? Just wondering.
You may.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much for that opportunity. Hi, everyone. My name is Kara Ashworth, and I'm running with Matador Movement for the position of Graduate Vice President. As a Lubbock local, Texas Tech undergraduate alum, and current master's student within the Texas Tech University Graduate School, I would love the opportunity to steward my passion for the Red Raider community within the role of Graduate Vice President. Throughout my time at Texas Tech, I have been involved within student government for 3 years, and I've also held various leadership positions within organizations such as Kappa Alpha Theta, Mortar Board, the Texas Tech Government Public Service Internship Program in Washington, D.C., and pre-law ambassadors. Growing up as a military child, I learned from a young age the importance of creating positive change through public service. I would love the opportunity to do just that for the graduate school at Texas Tech University. I think that the best way to lead is with humility, and the best type of leaders are servant leaders. I would love to be able to steward that mindset within the role of Graduate Vice President here at Texas Tech.
All right, they told me it's time now. Okay.
Okay, perfect.
We have a large international student population at Texas Tech. Very diverse. How do you plan to represent everyone at Texas Tech?
Yes, that's a great question. So currently, for this 2024 spring semester, we have 7,114 graduate students, and out of that population, 2,241 are non-resident international students. So obviously, we have a large portion of our school dealing with the issues of international students. So I think my first initiative that I'd love to push for them would be stipends for healthcare. Currently, Texas Tech requires all non-immigrant students to be insured under the AHP Healthcare Administration. Obviously, this is an added fee on top of all of the other expenses that comes with being an immigrant or international student. And so I think we can allocate money to help students out with that, because we can't do away with that policy without placing them as a public charge, but we can better assist them in their healthcare insurance. And also, I recognize that currently we have global guides for international students, which is kind of a mentor system for students who are getting acclimated to life in the United States. I would love to better publicize that, because that's not a huge program as of now, nor is it super well marketed. And so I think we could utilize social media and other events to better raise awareness about that program. And then, yeah, I think the next biggest point there would be mental health and affordability. So touching on mental health, I think we can allocate more resources to our resources for students for mental health. Also bringing more awareness and hosting more events, promoting ways to deal with that, because that's a huge issue for international students coming out of what they used to know wherever they're coming from and coming to Texas Tech. So yeah, thank you so much for that question.
Given all of the responsibilities of graduate students, it's easy for them to be selectively involved strictly within their department of study. How do you plan to engage these students and inform them of the programming and resources that SGA and the university help provide to them across campus?
Yeah, so I think that there is a lack of awareness of all of the opportunities and resources that we have within our graduate school. I think the first way of doing that would be through social media. I think that we can utilize that much better than we are already doing as a graduate school. I think we can add more positions, whether that be through SGA or through employment through the university, for better promotion of our resources on social media. Another thing would be traveling to like other universities and promoting that, so that students know first of all, what Texas Tech offers to graduate students, and then when they get here, they already have that awareness as well. And I think also it would be beneficial to host events that intermix schools such as the law school and our health sciences center, so med students, and just hosting more events for them. I know currently we did a Boo Bash this past year, and that was a hit, and so I think we can build off of that momentum and provide events for students of all areas of our graduate school.
If you were to serve as graduate vice president, what programs or initiatives will you enforce to improve the tech experience for graduate students?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I think I touched on a few already. Our main initiatives for the graduate program would be affordability, which relates to pretty much every student in the graduate program. And then also mental health awareness, infrastructure. I think that one thing that we can do is help add more stipends for, like I mentioned healthcare earlier, but not just that, but also expenses for traveling to conferences. As a graduate student, you do have a lot of outside studies and opportunities that are oftentimes hard to take when you have to pay for your own way to them. And so I think we could allocate money and funding for students who are needing to do that.
Alrighty, for your last question, graduate school can be a very stressful time in one's life. Often, this can cause an increase in anxiety and a decline in mental health. How do you plan to address mental health issues for graduate students?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I think the main point when we're thinking logically about improving mental health is funding. I think that that's something that we can lobby for, not only within our university and to our administration and our deans, but also outside at the local, state, and federal government levels. I had the privilege of attending Big 12 on the Hill last year, and we actually did speak with congressmen about more funding for mental health, and I think that that's something that we can go do more and more as a student government and as a university. But yeah, I would say funding is the biggest point there.
Thank you so much, Kara. You may proceed with your closing statement.
All right, well, as a Lubbock local and alum of this university, I truly have developed a long-term perspective of the university system as a whole, and I would love the opportunity to bridge the gaps between the local community, the undergraduate community, and the graduate community on all levels. I believe that the call to serve other people is really what is the best way to steward the gifts and opportunities you've been given and the best way to grow them. And so I would love to do just that within the role of graduate vice president and give back to the graduate community in light of the love and opportunity that I feel as though I've personally received throughout my time in Lubbock and at Texas Tech. Thank you so much for the opportunity to share my whys and initiatives with you all today.
Thank you so much. Our next candidate will be Diego Alessio for internal vice president. Yes.
Diego, you can go ahead with your opening statement.
Good evening, everybody. I'm super excited to be here, and I see a lot of familiar faces in the crowd, so super excited to be here. My name is Diego Alessio, and I'm a double major in economics and finance with a minor in general business from Katy, Texas. Upon graduation, choosing the Scarlet and Black and choosing to come to Texas Tech was a no-brainer and second nature. From the affordability of education to the incredible opportunities that lie for academic enrichment here, as well as the opportunity to attend an incredibly diverse campus, were many of the factors considered in my attendance here. Growing up in Katy, Texas, one of the most diverse suburbs in the United States, has allowed me the repetitions and the experience necessary not only to effectively lead the student body, but to be able to accurately and effectively represent the voices of 40,000 Red Raiders with incredibly different stories. Throughout my tenure here as a student, I've been incredibly involved with a variety of different organizations. The involvement through these organizations has given me the experience, the repetitions, the leadership experience, and the lessons needed to be learned to be an effective leader for the student body and to lead 70 student senators, both in the chamber and outside of the chamber, to excellence. I'm a servant-hearted leader, and I plan to lead as such, pushing these senators to excellence inside and outside of the chamber is of immense importance. Over the past century, SGA has done an incredible array of things, from the lazy river and the rec to the establishment of tailgating areas for our game days, and more recently, the renovation of Bio 101. I'm super excited and super reflective on the changes that SGA has made over the past century, and I'm super excited to lead SGA into the next century and build off of the amazing progress that was created in the 59th session.
Writing effective legislation is an important part of being in the Student Senate. As the president of the Senate, you'll be responsible for setting the legislative agenda and helping senators follow through on their legislation. What is a specific piece of legislation you've written, and how did you follow through?
Yeah, so one of the things that I've done this year was, one of the things that I really focused on this year was being a student of the College of Arts and Sciences. A lot of our networking opportunities and a lot of our abilities to really find employment after graduation is very limited. We don't have nearly as much resources as the Rawls do, nor do we have the connections or the alumni base that other colleges on campus do, and it makes it very difficult to oftentimes get connected with employers and really look forward to building a network for yourself. One of the things that I was able to do this year was I was able to lobby the College of Arts and Sciences and really get the ball rolling on a initiative that really would set apart the College of Arts and Sciences and really take its ability forward to be classified as a place of employment rather than as a place of education rather than as a place of employment. This was done through LinkedIn, through the ability of the College of Arts and Sciences ability to be recognized as a place of education rather than as a place of employment. The idea behind this initiative is to really get that ball rolling on creating a accessible and readily available alumni database for our students. In terms of following up with this legislation, that's where In terms of just generally creating legislation, it's always super important to follow up, because as soon as you create legislation, that doesn't necessarily mean that something's going to happen. It's super important to follow up, and something that I did super diligently was really reaching out to the social media directors of the College of Arts and Sciences and really try to get that ball rolling with them. But I'll bring that back to my last point. Just because you write legislation and just because you have an incredible legislative agenda doesn't necessarily mean anything. It doesn't necessarily mean anything until you follow up. So in terms of this administration and in terms of what we'll be doing within the Senate, the things of utmost importance will be writing great legislation, but making sure to follow that up effectively.
As internal vice president, you are responsible for being a leader to your senators. What qualifications do you possess that have prepared you to lead the Student Senate?
Yeah, so I think one of the main themes that you'll hear from the Matador Movement block tonight is a theme of being servant-hearted. Being servant-hearted is one of the most incredible gifts you can have as a leader, because you're not necessarily doing this for yourself, but you're doing it for the good of people around you. And that's something that you'll see through and through our block. In terms of my personal qualifications, I think I'm an incredibly well-rounded student leader. I've had many experiences within the undergraduate leadership, and I've really poised myself in a position to really be able to effectively and efficiently lead the student body. I think through my involvement within the Hispanic Student Society, as well as being director of the first-year program here, I think I've built an incredible resume, not only towards SGA, but also towards, in general, student leadership. I think my involvement with these organizations and just a variety of different avenues on campus have really made me the student leader that I am today, and have not only given me the experience, but really the lessons that needed to be learned to really lead effectively. Because leadership is about learning, and I feel I've had plenty experience to learn and really become the leader that I'm meant to be for this position.
Motivating the senators to fulfill their duties is a large part of being internal vice president. How will you challenge the senators to reach their full potential as student leaders?
I'm sorry, could you repeat the question?
Motivating the senators to fulfill their duties is a large part of being internal vice president. How will you challenge the senators to reach their full potential as student leaders?
Yeah, so one of the things that I think is imperative when we're looking to push people to do their best is to be available. And I think this is something that this session has done incredibly well, but continuing to be available for our senators is something that is of utmost importance. And I feel sometimes a lot of things don't get done out of fear of messing up. And I think if we create a culture to where we embrace the idea of it's okay to mess up and it's okay to be unsure, and we really poise ourselves as student leaders to really lead based out of that idea and based out of an idea of availability, we can effectively push senators to be their best. But that doesn't stop there. From there, it's really about reminding them on why you're here. You're not here to boost your resume. You're not here to serve yourself. If you could have done that through a variety of different organizations. Student government is a special place because you're not only representing the people of one said organization, you're representing a large variety of students. For example, as a senator for the College of Arts and Sciences, you're already representing 11,000 students. That's a fourth of campus. So really poising that and utilizing that to really remind our senators the weight of their actions and the weight of inaction throughout their tenures.
An important part of being a senator is communicating with fellow students. How have you communicated with your constituents over the past year? And please give us tangible ways you will ensure senators connect with their constituents.
Yeah, so I think one of the things that we've done really well this session is our tabling efforts. While limited in scope, the opportunities have been there. So I believe that if we expand our tabling efforts, not only will we be able to reach a larger amount of students and really talk to a larger amount of students, but we'll be able to effectively gauge their interest and really what they need from us as student leaders. But however, I think where our tabling efforts have fallen short is really the culture that goes around when you go to a tabling event. Sometimes you're just kind of there, you're really just waiting for people to come up to you, and I think that's one of the main problems when members of this organization go out to table. You're just kind of waiting for something to come to you. And that's not really the platform or the aspiration that we should have as student leaders. Change isn't always going to come to you. More oftentimes than not, you're going to need to go find that change. And how do you find that change? By actively going out and talking to people. So I believe that if we change the culture within our tabling efforts, we can effectively really gauge the interest of students and really change the way in which we grow to serve our students. For example, if you're at a tabling event and you're just there talking to your SGA friends, you're not getting as much done as if you were actively going up to students and really asking them what they need from you as a leader. So that's something that I've tried to mimic within my own tabling efforts, and I seek to expand that more broadly to the entirety of the Senate chamber.
Thank you. You can proceed with your closing statement.
Again, super excited to be here, and I'm super excited to have the opportunity to serve you all. One of the themes you'll see here tonight among our block is being servant-hearted. It's an incredible trait to have as leader, and the reality of it is that when you are a servant leader, everything you're doing is for those around you. And I believe that that statement, those are serving for everyone around you, is the epitome of what SGA is. SGA is a great organization where you can serve the interest of thousands of other students, and really utilizing that by being servant-hearted is of the utmost importance when utilizing our platforms as student leaders. Throughout this block, throughout our prospective tenures, you'll really see that if you really choose to stick with us. So other than that, I'm super excited to be here. Thank you so much for the questions. Thank you for the opportunity to give a peace of mind. And yeah, wreck 'em.
Thank you again to our internal vice president candidate, Diego Alessio. We will be setting up the second podium, so give us a moment before we introduce our next set of candidates.
We will now welcome our external vice president candidates, Mr. Carter Arrett and Mr. Dylan Moreno. Mr. Arrett, you can proceed with your opening statement.
Awesome. Thank you, Kendall. My name is Carter Arrett, and I'm from the small west central Texas town of Ballinger. Growing up in a rural community, talking to people and generating genuine relationships was not just something to do, but something to cherish. When the long-awaited day of graduation finally arrived, the next step in my life had made it evident. I've been blessed with the opportunity to attend numerous Texas Tech football games from as long as I can remember. While sitting in section 133 of Jones AT&T Stadium, and even tailgating in the same parking lot that I park in today, I've been able to witness many exciting moments of Texas Tech. This includes Crabtree's 2008 catch against the University of Texas, and even the young, great Patrick Mahomes on the gridiron. But this is not why I chose Texas Tech University. Seeing the firsthand impact this institution has given my grandmother, parents, and sister has made this decision easy. Today, I'm a personal financial planning and management double major where I'm involved in numerous student organizations on and off campus. Such organizations as Student Government Association has allowed me and prepared me for this role as external vice president. I'm confident in building coalitions on campus with Texas Tech University, as well within the Big 12 and throughout our local, state, and federal levels. Together, we can unite Texas Tech University with the city of Lubbock and beyond. Thank you.
Mr. Moreno, you can now proceed with your opening statement.
Hi, my name is Dylan Moreno. There it is. Okay, can you hear me now? Perfect. Hi, my name is Dylan Moreno. I'm from McAllen, Texas. I am a biology pre-dental major here at Texas Tech University. Growing up in South Texas, I've noticed that it is a lot different than West Texas, but that's for the better. Because to be honest, from South Texas, I got to understand what policies worked, what policies didn't.
I got to understand the different diverse of communities within South Texas. I got to understand how it is to feel to struggle. Now, coming here to West Texas, understanding that Texas Tech University can be that key to the future you want. Education can be that key to the future you want. But it's about how you use it. Now, I could just be here getting my degree. That's fine, that's good, you're getting your education. But I chose to get in part or join our organizations across campus, like Saddle Tramps, like other political organizations, student government, and all those organizations helped me understand that I have a voice, just like everyone else. Before I joined student government, I was a student that wanted my voice to be heard, but I just didn't know how to. I didn't know how to mobilize the students. I didn't know how to be effective on campus. So with that, I got into student government. I started passing legislation for the South Texas Mission Center, other pieces for the ROTC students here on campus. And with that, I used it to help raise the voices here at Texas Tech for all different types of students like myself. As a first-gen Hispanic student, I noticed that Texas Tech is very welcoming for that, and I want to keep that going for the next century, next however many years we're here. So that's why I'm here at Texas Tech University.
You want Dylan to answer first? Maybe mix it up a little. Okay, Dylan. With the rising price of gas, it's becoming more and more expensive to maintain the level of bus service we currently provide, and the other services provided through the transportation student service fee. What are your thoughts on how to combat this? I have my own answer to this, by the way, but I'm going to let you guys take a crack at it.
Perfect. So there's a percentage I just read that was 23% of students live off campus, right? And right now we're living in 2024 with inflation, all that stuff that are affecting our students. Now, it's a good thing that we have SGA that is willing to help out our students get to different parts of campus with our bus systems for even our game day stuff. But with that, we need to make sure it continues for the next 100 years. So as somebody that's been in politics for 7 years, I understand how it is to run a campaign. I understand how it is to effectively get my piece out there or my idea out there. And being a part of the local government is where we start. That's number one. You got to get in within your city council, and then from there you go into your state and then your federal. And with that, we need to be able to have effective policies that showcase the students, you know, we can't pay for the prices of our own gas, much less Texas Tech can't, because, you know, there's just inflation all around from food to gas to everything. But with that, actively getting into our state, actively trying to go into those city council meetings, our student board of regents, talking to them and trying to find legislation to get our state to give us more money will be the most effective way.
Do you mind repeating the question just one more time?
Sure, Carter. With the rising price of gas, it's becoming more and more expensive to maintain the level of bus service we currently provide and other services provided through the transportation student service fee. What are your thoughts on how to combat this?
So as Dylan said, there was a lot of great points about talking about inflation, as well as getting involved at the local level and really lobbying for this, talking to students. I think we can all agree that inflation and gas prices is something that's not only a problem to students at Texas Tech that drive to campus to commute from, for instance, Tech Terrace to campus, but as well through our transportations of our bus systems, we can lobby at the local level to get this more driven to get to the state and federal level. I think it is really important to note the new fleet of buses that Texas Tech has implemented, especially being that environmentally friendly, as well with green services through these bus systems. The revamp of the transportation system as of recent times has been a great start towards this, and it really gets the students as well as faculty, staff, everyone involved within transportation more involved and more bought in to that problem that is continually rising, and we see a growing demand as the student population at Texas Tech just continues to grow. The Lubbock population continues to grow. Just as it's the hub city, we need to accommodate for all of these changes, and we know there's a growing demand for that as the question's being asked. I think it's just getting that more awareness within it and really accommodating to the environmental changes that we can see.
This question will start with Mr. Arrett. As we all know, this is currently an election year. We have presidential, state, and local races. What are your plans to get students registered and get them engaged in the political process?
Yes, ma'am. So in 2024, I think we do see that a lot of Lubbock City at the local level, we do not have as much engagement. It's actually important to note that Texas Tech generates more ballots casted from the campus level. There have been past programs, for instance, as Wreck the Vote, I believe, as we get more students involved with this and as well informed voters. Texas Tech is an institution which prides itself on academics as well as just going forth and serving. Having that knowledge, having the experience, and having the resources to provide students with the opportunity to vote and vote full of knowledge is an important resource. Really revamping that system that was previously set, as well as the one that's current today, would be a great opportunity to get our individuals more involved at the local level, state level, and federal level, as this leads on to our generation taking over, or not as much taking over, I apologize, but as those leaders, kind of progress, and our generation, it's time to make a positive change. And I think that starts at the campus level, not only at Texas Tech, but at the state level and federal level as well.
So with that, I believe that we can try to get the vote out there by using our social media. We can do that, that's fine. But actually having the grassroots movement out there, going on to those basketball games, football games, organizations, we need to actually use our voice and tell students, this is how you can actually vote. This is how you can fill out the forms. I think currently right now with our current SGA exec board, they've done an amazing job with that. Now it's time for us to lead it to an even greater level, because we all know with elections, stuff happens. Gas prices go up, gas prices go down. But with that, we need to tell the students, you have a voice, freedom isn't free. So going into those organizations, trying to get those voters out there for election day is beneficial by doing it grassroots, not social media wise. And that's how I would be doing it.
For you, Mr. Moreno, food insecurity, to start with you, food insecurity and accessibility for students on campus has been a large issue in recent years. If you are elected as external vice president, what steps would you take to address this issue?
So if I was elected as external vice president, I'm going to make sure that we're going to try to be as effective as we can. Now, I can't guarantee everything that I would like to do, but it is hard for students. It is hard for students having to deal with a job, having to deal with paying for their tuition. There's some that don't have that familial support, so they have to find ways to eat at the end of the day. Now with that goes back to our mental health. Now, nationally, over 1,100 students die because they commit suicide. Now with that, it could be because they're going through something with friendships, they can be going through something with finding food resources, but that's what I want to limit. Now it's not big of a number nationally, but leading that charge to make sure that mental health is restored within our university is by actually having those food pantries on campus so every student can get to eat a free meal, because as it is, tuition is just expensive for some. So with that, I'm going to try to implement it in many different ways of trying to work with our local government in order to find food for our students, because we're Red Raiders, you're one of us, we're going to try to take care of you to the very end.
I'm running through it one more time.
Yes. Food insecurity and accessibility for students on campus has been a large issue in recent years. If you are elected as external vice president, what steps would you take to address this issue?
I think it's really important to note when we begin diving into this topic that going to college, taking this next leap into your academic career, as well as just the social skills and the relationships that you will foster, not only at Texas Tech, but nationally, that it is a new cultural setting, it's a new social setting. It's a time where a lot of anxiety pressure as well as stress can really creep in whenever you are a collegiate student. So that's the first thing to note with that. We talked about mental health. There's a lot of different initiatives behind that. Personally, within myself and my philanthropy work, of my own fraternity, and even at the IFC level, we have seen different avenues that we can explore to dive into those different topics to really address that need as it continues to grow, as we continue to see rates of suicide and other things continually rise. As far as affordability goes and access to food and dining, I think two of our initiatives that are really hammering home is expanding campus food options. Texas Tech currently has the second largest continuous campus in the nation, just behind Air Force. And so really accompanying for all avenues of Texas Tech and our large campus and giving people an opportunity to eat and taking in all dietary restrictions from all different groups is really important to hone in on.
Mr. Arrett, this next question will be for you first. Looking at the Student Government Association Constitution, the position of external vice president can be interpreted differently. What is your view of the position, and what is one program or function of the office that you plan on focusing on heavily next year?
It's really important to note that my initiative as external vice president is generally just to unite the Texas Tech student body and all those associated with the city of Lubbock. Working on past pieces of legislation that even you and your constituents have really pushed hard to pass and have passed, and there's current works that are continuing to go on. I think it's really important to account for current events. For instance, in the Panhandle, we've seen the largest wildfire in Texas history, and this is just in our backyard. Really accounting for events such as this and going back and giving back to this new area of all of us college students and everything that it gives us, we can give back to that. There's numerous different avenues and different ways of doing that. Regardless from legislation, we can go out and just have these conversations with people, really being able to connect. I think that's something that really drives West Texas in general, is the hospitality and the reasoning behind just having these conversations that need to be had to promote personal connections. And so that doesn't stop just at our local level, not even within our Student Government Association. That spills into our own institution, as well with the system of Texas Tech. It's important to note that Texas Tech is the head of our system, accounting for different schools as well that we can account for as Angelo State, Midwestern State, just to name a few. I think we need to really take in and care for all of these different outlooks within that, and giving back to the Lubbock community is really important and really on my heart if I were elected as external vice president.
With the position itself, we have to understand that we must provide our students with the utmost hospitality, because we are very friendly over here in West Texas. I've seen it a lot more friendlier than South sometimes. But with that, the thing is, we can try to take care of our students by making sure that they go out and vote. But being a part of the state government process, the local government process, we have to understand that we need to try to lower our response time when it comes to police going to check up on a case. Right now, our response time here in Lubbock, as of January 2024, is 5 minutes and 37 minutes. Let's lower that down. And that is my job, to make sure that I'm connected with the city of Lubbock to make sure our students are safe. You know, the rapes per 100,000 people is at 85.8%. And that was of January 2024. And you can look that at Lubbock City online, LubbockCity.com online. With that, off-campus rapes are 26%. There's been, 26%. And with that, we need to make sure our students are safe as well. Now, we can try to understand the students from a different level of getting more funding for our university, for organizations, for jobs here, but we need to make sure the students can live the next day, to make sure they can go to class, they can go to their jobs. Because with that, this position, I see it as an elected official that's taking over an elected official that doesn't really respond well to our campus. Not saying that you are, Carl, don't worry, you're doing an amazing job, but we have to make sure that We're there to step in when the state official doesn't have time, stuff like that.
We will now move to closing statements. Mr. Moreno, you can begin your remarks.
Thank you. So I hope you're able to understand more of what I'm about, and what Carter's about as well. At the end of the day, it is your vote. You have that privilege to go out and vote who you want, who you would like to see take this office. Just know that if you elect me today, that I'm willing to stand up for you. I'm willing to take as many punches as I can, because that's what I'm used to. I understand how it feels to be without a voice. And I would never, ever in my life want to see another Red Raider go up to a senator and not get a response back, because we need to be there for every single student. You're one of us, because from here it is possible. Thank you.
It's really been a pleasure, as well as Dylan said, just to kind of not only talk about our initiatives and everything regarding Student Government Association, but just who we are as individuals and Red Raiders all alike in the Senate chamber as well as just on campus. It's important to note that Texas Tech's population continually is rising above 40,000 academically strong students, and the growing population of Lubbock is at a 3% clip, which is about 3,000 annual population growth. So really uniting these two things, seizing the opportunities that present themselves to us, as well as just navigating through the challenges that will present themselves, we can be confident that with a vote for myself, that we can stay passionate on different pieces that have been established, as well as going forth and uniting again the city of Lubbock with Texas Tech University. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Era and Mr. Moreno. We will now welcome the student body president candidates, Mr. Toby Sustak and Ms. Abigail Vega. Mr. Sustak, if you can start with your introduction.
Thank you, Mr. Rivero. Hi, everyone. My name's Toby Sustak. I can barely see you because you guys are a little dark over there. But so my name is Toby Sustak. I'm running on the Raider Renewal campaign. I am a global studies and economics double major with a double minor in poli-sci and Russian. I promise Russian isn't as hard as it sounds. And so basically what Raider Renewal is to really renew the culture of SGA. And we've done that in so many different ways, and there's a lot of different reasons why we're here tonight. But I think the main thing that we want to fix is making sure that your student government works for you in every capacity. And to do that, we need people that are motivated leaders to go forward, and we need to encourage the best and brightest to make sure that they can run and they can represent ideas and that they can make it into not only the Senate chamber, but SGA, and make sure that we're bridging the gap into the next century of Texas Tech. I am originally from Erie, Pennsylvania. I moved to Texas when about the age of 9 because there were some issues with policy up there, which motivated my career in public service as a big reason why I moved down to the land of opportunity, which is Texas. Down here, I come from a small town in Gatesville. It's outside of Waco. And so I know what it's like to struggle coming from a small town, really working your way up. I know Lubbock might not seem like a big city to you guys, but trust me, it's a lot bigger than a lot of places out there. And so one of the biggest issues when you come from a small town into a big city is making sure that you're getting involved and understanding how to connect with people. And that's something that I've done throughout my tenure. As you can see, I'm up on this debate stage. I joined FYC my first year. I ran for Senate of the largest college, the College of Arts and Sciences, with the largest student population, about 11,000, from all different majors, whether that's chemistry, biology, global studies, economics, poli-sci, you name it. The College of Arts and Sciences has some major that someone's a part of in this room for sure. And with that, I would like to say that I had then ran again, and I had become chair of the College of Arts and Sciences, where I made sure that I was leading ideas of pieces of legislation to the forefront, including, if any of you were to go to a residence hall today, you could go, even if you live in an apartment, you could go down to the desk and make sure that you get a Scantron.
Thank you, Mr. Sustak. That's time.
Okay, thank you.
Ms. Abigail Vega, if you can give us your introductory statement.
Hello everyone, my name is Abigail Vega and I'm the Matador Movement candidate for Student Body President. I am currently a junior in the Rawls College of Business, majoring in finance, minoring in Spanish and political science, and receiving a commercial real estate certificate. Growing up in the small town of Lovington, New Mexico, I was encouraged to get involved on campus and throughout my community at a very young age. My why has always been to create a welcoming and inclusive atmosphere for all around me, leading to my want to be student body president. If I were to be your student body president, I would want to further this why at a greater scale and be able to truly make Texas Tech and the Lubbock community feel like home for all Red Raiders. Although the past 100 years we've been able to make many advancements, I truly believe that we still have work to do. The past 2 years have been nothing but excellent, and I now hope to be able to give back to the university that has shaped me into the individual and leader that I am today.
Did you both say you were poli-sci majors? Is that right?
Global studies.
Global studies?
We don't associate.
That's great. All right. As student body president, you're seen as a representative of the student body in the eyes of university administration, Texas Tech University System Administration, Tech System Board of Regents, Texas legislative officials, and community groups. How have your experiences prepared you to succeed in effectively representing the student body and communicating the ideals of the Student Government Association with these individuals? Abigail, why don't you go first? Yeah.
Perfect. My time at Texas Tech has been, of course, the past 2 years have been nothing but excellent, and being able to serve in many capacities, as I've stated, throughout my many involvements across campus have definitely equipped me in order to make those relationships with administration, as well as, of course, student regent and so on. And so furthering those efforts will definitely be something that I will definitely strive for, as I've been able to within the past 2 years. And so, of course, with that will partner with my presidency and the pieces of legislation or the pieces of policy that we may be wanting to lobby for, maybe wanting to put into place throughout Texas Tech.
Toby, do you need that read again? It's essentially, how are you going to interact with the leadership in town?
Thank you, Carl. So during my tenure at Texas Tech and during my years of experience, I would like to first start off with how I deal with these situations. So first of all, there's a lot of pieces of legislation that I've passed, some uncontroversial, some controversial. In order to make sure that pieces get passed, you have to stay at it. You have to constantly work at it. Sometimes you're going to fall on your face, but you need to make sure that you get right back up and that you're getting back at it. And in order to work with people like the Board of Regents, it's going to take a lot of getting back up. You know, they're not always going to be right for your ideas, but it doesn't matter because you're fighting for the right thing, and that's what I'm fighting for. I'm fighting for students' interests. I'm polling people. I actively make sure that I'm having conversations to make sure we're representing ideas. But as far as reaching out and actually speaking with administration, there's a lot of different opportunities that I've had through the years, such as the GPS IP, which I actually served with Kara Ashworth in, as well as Big 12 on the Hill, where we advocated and made sure that we were lobbying for these campaigns and making sure that we're trying to make Texas Tech better, represent Texas Tech. And representing Texas Tech is really what this position is about. And I think that during my time, I have truly represented a lot of the ideas. I mean, I got elected to President Pro Tempore, which successfully turned into the first speaker of the Texas Tech Student Senate. Not only that, but through that time, I have also served in Congress as an intern, of course, and I have made sure that I actually worked for your campaign for a little bit, and I'm always trying to make sure, that I'm getting involved and making sure I understand how to make these conversations happen, and I think that's going to be the end of my time.
Toby, this one will start with you. We have a student population of approximately 41,000 students, and that number is only expected to grow. In recent years, it has been proven difficult to communicate with our large student body. In what ways will you work to effectively communicate with this large student body?
That's an excellent question. Thank you so much. So one of the biggest ways that I actively work in that role to actually do outreach is I work as a community advisor for Stengel Murdow, and we see a lot of students come through from diverse backgrounds. One of the central pillars of actually understanding what students care about and trying to connect them starts with the residence halls because it's a mandatory requirement. So that's a fantastic first step is to actually work with the existing institutions we have on campus. For instance, the Rivera administration did a great job of making sure that we brought students over to the first picture day. That was a huge thing that brought people together, and that's something we need to continue to build upon and try to figure out more ways to brainstorm. And I think as someone that has worked in the residence halls, that has actually made events and constantly am bringing people that are new to Texas Tech into the system and welcoming them with open arms, that's going to be the trick to making sure we get more engagement. Now, as far as actually making sure that people continue to come back to SGA, we have to fulfill our promises. And I've done this, like I said, the Scantron piece was the first campaign promise I had when I ran for senator, and it's something that it took this year to finally get done. And I've continued to work at it for so long, and that is why I would like to say that for all of you that are making a question on the ballot, like who should I vote for, when you pick my name or if you look at my name, make sure that you judge me by my accomplishments and look forward to my promises.
With approximately 40,944 current Red Raiders, I do believe that yes, it may be a challenge to be able to advocate for all students, but something that my prior executives had mentioned is that we are striving to be those student leaders, to be that listening ear for all students. And so I think our current student government administration has done a great job of being able to open up these tabling opportunities for our current student senate as well as our current leaders to be able to be of listening ear for all problems or other things that may need to be put into action through our student government, whether that's through executive bills or as well as our student senate. And so I believe that continuing those efforts and also expanding those efforts is definitely something that myself as well as my executive team would be striving to do to a greater capacity.
To begin with you, Ms. Vega, everyone serves by simply being a member of SGA and by meeting set requirements such as attending meetings, committee meetings, and tabling, etc. What have you done within SGA to go above and beyond to serve the student body?
So I first began my time in SGA in the First Year Leadership Association. With that, I then took that step of faith and applied for the executive positions within First Year Leadership Association and had the pleasure of serving as our secretary. Through that, we were able to have a lot of community involvement as well as, of course, partnering with the executives from this past year to work on those pieces that they were working on as well as senator pieces as well, being able to observe the change that they were able to make in order to step into those shoes throughout the next Senate session. And so the following year, which was this past spring, I ended up running to be a Raleigh College of Business senator. Through that, I've been able to work alongside countless senators and countless leaders who have been able to make an impact within their colleges and campus-wide. And so with that, I also was able to serve on the Budget and Finance Committee where we allocated over $500,000 to student organizations. And so with that, you're able to be that listening ear and understand the wants and needs from the student body and student body organizations and those student leaders as well. Alongside that, I am currently the First Year Leadership Association Director, and so with that, I'm able to lead and guide these first-year students and alongside first-year council in order to be able to guide them in order to run for these Senate positions and continue the next leaders of Texas Tech. So with that, I've been able to learn from from countless experiences and of course grow my leadership skills and just individual skills as a person and leader, and think that I would be able to properly serve our student body.
Would you like me to repeat the question?
If you don't mind, I'm sorry.
Everyone serves by simply being a member of SGA, meeting set requirements such as attending Senate meetings, committee meetings, tabling events. What have you done within SGA to go above and beyond to serve the student body?
Absolutely. That's a fantastic question, and that's actually part of the core values of Raider Renewal. We have between us a lot of experience in getting things done, and I think that's the part that turns a lot of people off on politics normally, is that people see people running for positions and then they ask, what have you accomplished? What have you done? And I think that's a really important point that you should judge me on, is what have I accomplished during SGA and what can you expect looking forward? One of the first things that I've done, as I said, is pass the Scantron piece. And like I said, now everyone has access to free Scantrons and Blue Books, so they don't have to worry about exams, and they know exactly where to get them, and they will be in stock. I have also passed the speaker bill, which makes sure that we are driving change forward and empowering the Senate's voice. Throughout my tenure, I have also served as the chair of Arts and Sciences. I currently serve as vice chair as I took up the position of chair of intergovernmental. And I have really worked within those committees to try to bolster legislation. Something that this Senate session started out with as well is, like I said, this president pro tempore position was the former speaker position. And I was the first elected, the first thing that the Senate did and first thing that the Senate all voted on was actually my election as president pro tempore, which means that I had to step up and become a leader within the Senate this year. And I have. There's been multiple pieces that people have passed that actually were pieces that I designed and I had those follow-up conversations with. For instance, one of the biggest ones is the pickleball courts. There was a water fountain that was not working out there. That is something that we brought to administration. We have also worked on making a lot of congratulatories that a lot of the senators that are currently running actually worked with me on, and that is how I know that I can represent moving forward as student body president to foster those relations further, because we have gotten so much done, and we don't have to look back at a dismal Senate. We need to look forward into the future as SGA being the prime mover forward.
Thank y'all. And just to have a point of clarification, I'm going to ask 2 more questions because time is allowing that. But Mr. Sustak, the next question is, as student body president, administration almost always turns to you when deciding on changes that pertain to the student body. While remembering that you represent nearly 41,000 undergraduate and graduate diverse student voices, how would you handle a situation in which you must represent the student body on an issue in which students may not have a uniform opinion?
Yeah, that's a great question. And there's not always going to be consensus on things. And there's definitely been that in the past. And I've helped move forward. And one of the big things is making sure that you're listening to people and having those conversations. One of the first things that I always do when I have a controversial piece is I use GroupMe. And GroupMe is a fantastic resource because you can add a little poll and it'll add or ask people what they think on it. And you have to go with your gut on some things as well, because not every decision is going to be easy and just whatever's popular is right. We would all love that there would be unlimited parking spots on campus. Unfortunately, that's not feasible, and sometimes you just have to make the best decision for your constituents and making sure that people are getting the best resources available within your means. And also on that, it's really important that you are always listening and always engaging people within student government in this position. And I have done that throughout the years, and a lot of the people in here have I've asked their opinion, what can I do better, what can Texas Tech do better? And I always listen, because that's one of the most important parts about being a leader is listening, and then fighting for what's right. No matter what it takes for your personal, it could personally ruin you, but this position is a servant position, one that you're staking your reputation to make sure that people get what they need, because that is your job, and that's how I will treat it at the end of the day if I am elected student body president.
Thank you for that. Ms. Vega, would you like me to repeat that question?
Yes, please.
As student body president, administration almost always turns to you when deciding on changes that pertain to the student body. While remembering that you represent nearly 41,000 undergraduate and graduate diverse student voices, how would you handle a situation in which you must represent the student body on an issue in which students may not have a uniform opinion?
That's a very good question. I would definitely say, as I've stated before, just kind of being that listening ear is the first step to being able to really foster those thoughts as well as relationships. And so, of course, over the past few years, I've been able to serve in many leadership positions as well as create many relationships across campus. And so with those, many ideas have come to fruition, and many ideas have not been feasible per se. So being able to kind of partner your knowledge as well as feasibility is definitely something that you would have to do within the position of student body president, as well as being able to have those hard conversations, whether that be with administration, with specific individuals, or just with specific communities throughout Texas Tech, and being able to advocate to your best ability as student body president and as a student body executive.
Thank you for that. The second question, and we will have time for community questions. It'll probably just be one, but just to let y'all know. But since the end of, and this is for you, Ms. Vega. Since the end of tuition regulation in Texas, textbook prices have risen astronomically. If elected as student body president, what would you do to help decrease the financial burden that students face in relation to textbook prices?
Perfect. So one of the initiatives that the Matador Movement campaign has attempted to kind of explore is technological access. And so with that would partner with affordability. And so obviously affordable textbooks, everything being on a more online platform in one specific place would allow for, hopefully allow for coupon codes, et cetera, in order for students not to have that specific burden. Of course, specifically with our graduate vice president, we have definitely explored that, being that it is a very big financial burden within the graduate students, but also just all students overall being able to have that available to students, and of course have that campus-wide is definitely something that we would want to push for if elected into our term.
Thank you for that. Mr. Sustak, would you like me to repeat the question?
If you don't mind.
Since the end of tuition regulation in Texas, textbook prices have risen astronomically. If elected as student body president, what would you do to help decrease the financial burden that students face in relation to textbook prices?
Thank you for that. So first off, I would like to say that textbook affordability is something that I've had to deal with recently, and throughout my college experience, I've definitely had to go through a lot on that. From working 3 jobs on Christmas break to working 2 jobs throughout my college career, making sure that I'm making as much money as possible to afford college has definitely been a struggle at times. And I think that's what a lot of the student body's dealing with on a broad basis, is having to go and seek out these external ways of revenue to pay for college, to be able to attend this institution. And I think one of the special things about Texas Tech in particular is how many resources we provide through different things like the Presidential Merit Scholarship, things like that that already exist to try to help alleviate that. We just need to take the next step in fostering that and really making sure that we're telling administration, like, yes, you're keeping it affordable, but how can we make it even better for students? Because we need to attract as many people here as possible. There's a lot of people that I've talked to in particular when they come from California, when they come from different states, or even different rural towns in Texas. It's, why did you come to Texas Tech? And the number one response is because of the financial incentives to come here, the scholarships, the cheap and affordable tuition relative to the rest of the country. And so we need to continue building on that. So the next part of this is, what is the plan? How are we going to do that? And first off, it starts with little things like providing those resources, like I know I keep repeating it over and over again, but it was a monumental piece, the Scantron piece. I know that's only like a small 5 cents, but that's 5 cents you don't have to worry about. Also, you have to make sure that you're making sure that your tuition, when you pay the different fees and whatnot, and there's a lot of fees on there, that we as student government are evaluating, are these really important and how can we cut down on them? Because we need to provide the best experience to produce the best alumni and give all of you the opportunity to make Texas Tech the great institution I know it to be.
Thank you for that. Mr. Sluckstack, this next question is for you, and this is the last question before closing statements. And this is from the community. I believe it is the responsibility of the SPP to hold all of the branches of the Texas Tech student government to their highest level and pick them up when they fail. For that reason, my question is for Toby and Abby, for both of you. If elected as SPP, what goals will you set for the legislator, and what is one feasible strategy you plan to utilize to achieve those goals?
Absolutely. And this is something that I worked on this session, actually, and a lot of the reason that some of our senators met our peace requirements. It's really about stepping in and not only serving as an example as a leader and leading by example, but it also means having those conversations and trying to help them build those pieces of legislation. Sometimes it's just people that don't have ideas after their one piece that they got elected to represent. And there's been a lot of regulations in the past, a lot of variety, and unfortunately a lot of turnover in the Senate. And to really make sure that we are going forth and making a better legislator and leading in all branches of government, we need to make sure the right people are getting there and that we can attract a larger crowd, a larger audience than what typically is SGA. Because unfortunately, it starts at the campaign level and people don't know about SGA, they don't understand, and so it takes a lot of us to go out into the community and really talk to different populations that haven't been reached before, because we keep reaching out to the same people, especially during campaign season, vote for me, vote for me. But at the end of the day, SGA is not just about getting elected, it's about really making sure that other people with great ideas are empowered to come to the Senate and really bring forth those and change it at the administrative level. I had a conversation with the previous student body president while I was up in DC, and that was one of his big things was, you've got to really look at your different audiences, and you've got to look at the people that haven't been involved before, and you've got to tell them, don't be scared, you can do this. You can really make Texas Tech better, and you're qualified for it. And it's really encouraging that moving forward and breaking the standard of like even the block system that will really push the Senate and a lot of ideas forward that haven't been realized before.
Thank you. And Ms. Vega, I'll repeat it because it's a pretty long question. I believe it is the responsibility of the SBP to hold all the branches of the Texas Tech student government to their highest level and pick them up when they fail. For both of you, if elected as SBP, what goals will you set for the legislator, and what is one feasible strategy you plan to utilize to achieve those goals?
Perfect, that's a great question. So one thing that I've always stood upon as a leader and individual is to not only meet but exceed expectations. And I feel like the individuals who are running alongside me with Matador Movement have some of the same or similar values within that specific aspect. But alongside that, of course, being able to, gather the individuals who are running with our specific campaign, we've been able to complement one another. And so, of course, finding one another's strengths and weaknesses will allow us to uplift one another and kind of fill those vacancies where we may need to assist one another within our specific positions. And so being able to hold them to these high standards and knowing that they would hold themselves to their own standards and having peace with that, as well as being able to complement one another and compensate for those highs and lows, would definitely be something that I would look forward to and put into play throughout my term.
Thank you for answering that. And now, Ms. Vega, you can proceed with your closing statement.
So as we conclude this time of hearing the many ideas and passions, I would just like to thank you for the opportunity and express my thankfulness to be able to run as your student body president. So exploring all of these ideas, I would like to assure you that Matador Movement has many core values that are very close to my heart, such as being able to be that listening ear and really being those servant leaders throughout all capacities. So as you cast your vote on Tuesday, please keep in mind that you don't only want to vote for a candidate, but also a partner who is going to encourage you to strive for honor. So if you are looking for a dedicated student body president who is going to strive for positive change throughout her term, then look no further. Thank you.
Mr. Sustak, you can proceed with your closing remarks.
Thank you so much. And thank you all for being here. I do really appreciate this, and it's truly an honor to even be on this stage. It's something that I never thought would ever even be possible, which truly hits on the motto of the university, from here it is possible. And moving forward, I would really like you to, when you go to the ballot, when you go to vote, make sure you evaluate each candidate and look at what they've accomplished and what their ideas are. And make sure when you see that you judge whatever name is on that ballot, no matter what, from the Senate all the way up to the president, it doesn't matter. Make sure to engage in those conversations. That is what makes democracy so great, is the ability to connect with the people that are going to be representing you. As someone that plans on, after my tenure at Texas Tech, moving on to serve as a diplomat abroad for the United States, I think that I'm very qualified for this role, and that I've served Texas Tech throughout my 3 years in every way possible, from making sure that students have easier lives to even recruiting prospective students, and that is exactly what the role of student body president is making sure that you at all times are representing Texas Tech to the best of your ability. And that's why I will ask for your vote on March 5th, and most importantly, I want you to know, no matter what, the one thing that really drives every decision that I make is, at the end of the day, you need to make sure that when you make that decision, that you are judging me by my accomplishments, and that you are looking forward to my promises. And no matter what, I am running to change something, not to be someone. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Vega and Mr. Sustak, for closing it off, thank you all for coming here. To those that are watching online, thank you all for tuning in and taking part in democracy here at Texas Tech with your Student Government Association. I just want to give another round of applause to our panelists for coming out and taking time out of the day to come and ask questions. And just as a reminder, elections take place March 5th from 12 a.m. To 11:59 p.m. So remember to cast your vote and really take a look at the conversations that were had today and the discussions that were had, and hopefully you find peace with that whenever you cast your ballot. But I will ask the candidates and the panelists to come on stage for pictures, but thank you all again for coming out tonight.